Hello, I'm Richard. I'd like to talk to you in this video about something that affects everyone on the planet. And this video is about your relationship with money. I have another video on your relationship with abundance, but this one is more focused on money itself. Now, we live in a world that is completely dominated by money. It is a commercial world. And money goes back in history, back to the times of Babylon. And we have something at an energetic spiritual level on this planet whereby everybody born into the world today has imprinted into their DNA the bondage to money. Now, this is an energetic anchor, and it goes back again to the days of Babylon. And what's happened is that there's a powerful entity, a spiritual entity over the planet called the god of Mammon, money. And so what I've got here is a very simplistic model. You can look and argue that there are other aspects to it, that's fine. The whole idea of this is to just give people some insight on where they're at. I work with so many people, and just about everybody has no clue in terms of where they are at in their relationship with money. And it drives their life, it anchors their life, it restricts their life, and this is the key to moving forward in life. So let's look at what I'm talking about. First of all, let's establish something about money. What is money? M-O-N-E-Y. Money is the M, material, O, offering. The word N nominates as E, exchange with yourself. So all money is simply a material exchange. An offering as an exchange. So if you want to have more money in your life, look at the value of exchange that you are bringing to the table of life. If all your value is sweeping the street, then you are worth maybe $10 an hour. If your offering is something at a much higher level, like you have the skills of a brain surgeon, then your offering will be perhaps $1,000 an hour. Then, of course, there are other ways of making money. Now, what I'm talking about parallels with the 3 levels of the money game, which is in another video. So let's look at this at the bottom level, level 1. Everybody comes in bondage. The world system is set up to keep everyone in bondage. And this bondage is simply, you have to have a job. J-O-B means just over broke. You get your wage, you pay your taxes on your wage, and then you get to expense the rest. The issue is if you are living in a Western society, the cost of living, paying for your mortgage, all your bills, your utilities, your transportation costs, cost of living in terms of food, etc., there's not much left over. And to sustain all that, you have to work in a job at 40 to 50 hours a week on a basic wage. The other issue is today, in a standard job, the commuting time it takes to get to and from work is anything between 10 to 20 hours a week. It's huge. And so people then become time poor. Then stress goes up. And so bondage is the bottom level of people's relationship with money. How can you tell people are in bondage? The first thing is they're earning just a basic income and struggling to make ends meet. The second indicator of bondage is they have very little free time. The third indicator of bondage is that they're stuck where they are at, which means that one year after another, there is little change in terms of what's happening in their life, financially, personally, at a relationship level, etc. Now, this level of bondage basically parallels with the different levels of consciousness. I have another video on consciousness where I talk about the 7 levels, which parallels David Hawkins' chart on consciousness. So at the bottom level, people who are in despair, grief, shame, in that particular level, are in bondage. Now, there is a loose movement between the two. It is not a cut and dry straight line. And so a lot of people are in this particular category. They may not distribute this. They might be anxiety, but they still could be in bondage. The next level is dependency. That is when you have more movement in your life. And in dependency, you could be at the second level of the money game, which is the fast track. And in this area, you might have a business, you've got plenty of money, but then you are bonded by anxiety and pride. Anxiety means that you're worried about keeping your money and who's going to steal it and making more. Pride in that you have power and you have resources and you have money to do things other people do not. Now, dependency means that your life still depends on money, revolves around it. Your life has a focus on making money, keeping it. And how much money you have drives what you can and cannot do. So this is the second level of your relationship with money, dependency. Now, people can float between these two. And when you look at these two levels, the bottom two levels are the ways of the world. The consciousness of the people are directly in 3D. And everything runs by people in their mind. And so that's these two levels. Then you shift from here into the top level. Now, the top level is when your relationship with money is such that you become a channel of resources from the divine. This involves and entails a complete flip and switch from these two. This also requires a shift in consciousness where you move up. And down here, people are unconscious, unaware. Up here, people are aware. And so this is where courage, love, and peace kick in. Again, the spiritual path from here to here is actually a very big step. There are degrees of moving from here to here. The principle of a channel is when you do not have to worry about where money comes from. It turns up. You just respond to doing what you're meant to be doing as an instrument of the divine. Now, I talk about a principle called float, F-L-O-A-T, which is fulfilling love in oneness with awareness that's transcending. And one of the principles in float is that as a channel, you don't actually have to do anything. You just spread your wings and the wind of the Spirit carries you. And what happens is, when you are a channel, opportunities turn up. You don't have to make them happen. They turn up. People turn up in your life that you're meant to meet. Synchronicity happens at a magical level. And so when you become a channel, you then don't have to worry about creating, directing, making your life. You go and flow with your natural order of destiny according to the wind of the Spirit. Then things just happen and fall into place. So when one source of income dries up, another one turns up. And you don't have to worry about where it's coming from. Now, as a channel, part of the criteria here is to completely surrender to the divine. And so here you're running on 100% divine will and not free will. This is a place and space that few people function and operate in. When you do get there, you end up living a life beyond your dreams. It is simply amazing. So let me sum up your relationship with money like this. If you have any concerns at all about money, you have any thought about not enough, where it's going to come from, paying the bills, what am I going to do when I retire, etc., 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 having dreams and aspirations, and having not enough money to fulfill them, then you are definitely in the two lower categories. When you're able to live your life and you have freedom to be able to move and do things, you do not have to worry about money at all because it just turns up. And then a critical example of being in level 3, which is a channel for money, is your life does this, which means that one year after another, there is an increasing measure of fulfillment, love, impact, travel, connection, projects, possibilities, and things happening in your life. When you get here, it is extraordinary. However, being a channel doesn't mean it's a bed of roses. There are mountains to climb. There are challenges that turn up. When these challenges and mountains turn up, the approach you take is completely different when you surrender. Because when you surrender, you don't have to make anything happen. It turns up. Your business is to respond to it. And so when you look at business in relationship to relationship, it's very simple. Mind your own business. Your business is who you are, what you're doing here, where you're meant to be going. Forget about other people's business and leave God's business to God. When you do that, you'll be able to shift up in your relationship with money. And when you get to the point where you are level 3, a channel, then what happens is there's no limit to what can come through you. I'm Richard.